r/Nosleep. Posted by u/witchcraftByVera. I am used to late night visitors, but my latest client gave me chills. And then you're all set. I smiled. The young woman looked at me, hopefulness mixed with skepticism in her eyes. "You're sure it'll work?" she asked. "It has never failed before. Just leave it near his bed, preferably under it, but make sure it's somewhere he won't look. Soon enough he'll make up his mind." I smiled and handed her the jar. The grayish substance squelched around in it, and the lid was sealed with black wax. "And the payment?" "Take your time." "Okay, thank you. I mean it," she said as she put on her coat and started walking towards the front door. "I know," I smiled. I watched her walk down a small path leading towards the town, the darkness making it harder and harder to see her. I don't mind helping out in situations like these, but I can't say I enjoy it either. It feels unnecessary. I think a lot of human agony is solvable through communication. However, a witch has got to make a living, right? The night grew darker, my house chillier, and just as I lit a flame in my fireplace, I heard 3 knocks on my door. Not something I expected, yet nothing that surprised me. Many clients come to me without making an appointment. "The door is unlocked," I said loudly. 3 more knocks. It could be that they were unable to hear me, but that is rare. Most likely, it was someone who needed to be invited inside. "Come in," I said, hastily stuffing a bundle of sage into my pocket. The door opened, and in the doorway stood a young man. His features were incredibly bland, and reminded me of a sketch you might see in a human anatomy reference book for artists. Beautiful, yet unbearably generic. His hair was dripping wet. It wasn't raining. "Can I help you?" I inquired. He looked at me, a sad smile on his mouth. "I'm lost." "Well, where are you going?" He shook his head. "Not going. Looking." Water was dripping from his hair onto my wooden floor, and I gently escorted him towards a chair near the fireplace. I positioned myself right across him, studying his face more closely. "What are you looking for then?" "My wife. My daughter. I can't find them." His eyes turned pleading. "Please, will you help me find them?" A lost soul? I wasn't sure yet. I keep a log of all my encounters, and I've gotten plenty of those visitors before. Usually, they need help realizing they are dead. The wet hair could indicate some sort of drowning accident, maybe involving his family, maybe he. "There was an accident." He looked at me, still smiling faintly. "Were your wife and daughter in the accident?" I asked. He nodded, his pleading gaze turning towards the ground. "Please, will you come help look for them?" His eyes shot up at me, still pleading. Somehow, the gaze seemed even more intense now. "Where have you looked for them?" His eyes flashed. His sad smile trembled. "I can't find them. Come with me, help me look for them." The lights flickered. Instinctively, I reached into my pocket, my hand grabbing the sage. "Where would we go to look for them?" I inquired. A tear fell down his cheek, but his eyes still impaled me, and I could see the desperation in his smile as he tried to keep his composure. "Please, I need you to come with me." He reached out his hand, and the lights flickered again. "Come with me, please, come with me." The desperation grew in his voice, his now bloodshot eyes stared right through me, and for the first time I realized there was something different about his face. It was elongated, somehow. Skinnier. His eyes were sunken into his skull, his mouth was bigger, and his smile now stretched across his face. My fingers tightened around the bundle in my pocket. "Please, Vera. Come with me." The voice was now coming from all around me. The man trembled. I threw the sage into the fireplace. "Get out!" I yelled. The burnt smell of the sage filled the room. The voice screamed. The man's jaw unhinged, and he grew taller as he sat there. His eyes sunk deeper into his skull, before completely vanishing. His body was now long and skinny, his fingers bony. The lights went out. I could barely make him out in the light from the fireplace. Slowly, he got up from the chair, and struggled towards the door, the long limbs seemingly making it awkward for him. "You should have come, Vera," he whispered in a raspy voice, before he stepped into the darkness. The lights returned. I took a deep breath, and started mopping up the water on my floor. Where did he want to take me? It is evident that he needed me to come for some reason, but I couldn't figure out why. After reading through my journal, I realized 2 things. 1, never has a lost soul needed to be invited in before, so I am not sure what creature I was dealing with last night. It is definitely not one I have encountered before. 2, he called me by my name. Which I never told him, which I never tell any of these creatures. I might need to lay low for the time being. I told you yesterday about a strange visitor at my door. I want to thank you for your advice and thoughtful remarks yesterday, but please do not worry about me. I also want to address a point that came up. Why did I welcome the creature into my home? I think humans can be way too quick to pass judgment onto anything non-human. I do believe evil exists, but more strongly, I believe that non-human does not equal evil. It is human instinct to relate every observation to human behavior, etiquette, view on life. When it does not match up, judgment is passed. Fear is created. This is, frankly, unfair. I welcome these beings into my home with hopes to learn, and often, they come to me in need of something. Sometimes, they even repay me in a way I can make use of. While this is not my motive for welcoming them, it is an added bonus. Life as a witch can be tricky nowadays. That being said, I got a bad feeling from this particular visitor. I needed to know what I had gotten myself into. I spent the entirety of last night wide awake. Luckily, I had no visitors, and I had the time to scrutinize every journal entry, search every book in my collection. Nothing useful. I dreaded doing this, but I knew I had to go look for an old acquaintance of mine. I exited my front door, making my way to the back of my garden. Behind it lies the forest, a place I have come to both love and respect. The sun was rising as I made my way between the first trees, and the world fell silent. In my hand I held a woven basket. I learned the hard way that it's rude to just show up to someone's home without a gift. The water of the lake glittered in sunlight as I entered the clearing. She was already there. She must have known I was looking for her. "Hello," she said. I looked straight at her. Her face was unchanged since last I saw her, beautiful and intimidating at the same time. Powerful brows framed her green eyes, a hooked nose above her unmoving mouth. I could tell she was observing me, awaiting my next move. "Come on, Vera. Tread carefully." "Hello," I replied. "I came to look for you." "I know," she said. Her face was impossible to read, which I am certain is on purpose. "Why did you come looking for me?" There was no use in lying to her. "Something came to my house the previous night. It had to be invited in. It wanted me to come with it, but I don't know where." She just kept looking at me. I knew her silence could be a trap, intended to make me run my mouth. I focused. It looked like a young man at first. Then, as its desperation grew, its appearance changed. She seemed utterly unfazed. It used my name. Her eyes flashed. "Can you really be certain it knew it accurately? What exactly did this creature call you?" "I am certain," I said, my heart beating faster. Her facial expression remained the same, but there was a new sense of hunger in the air. I needed to divert her attention. I brought a gift. I sat the woven basket on the forest floor, its contents gurgling softly. "You seek something in exchange," she stated, her eyes drawing away from me and towards my offering. I nodded. "I seek knowledge about the creature that visited me." "That knowledge is not mine to pass on," she replied. "Do you have it, though?" She raised an eyebrow, a playful smile emerging from her until now expressionless face. "Does it make a difference? Whose knowledge is it to pass on?" "You would have to ask the creature itself. As it knows your name," her eyes flashed again, "I'm sure you're better acquainted than you might think." I could feel my eyebrow twitch. This specificity was unusual, and I had no intentions of falling into debt to her. "Thank you," I said, not breaking eye contact. She smiled at me. I turned to leave, resisting the urge to look behind me. As I exited the forest, the sun stood high on the sky, and I could see a figure walking up the little path towards my house. As it grew bigger, I could recognize it as a regular customer named Maria. I like Maria. Most of her requests are fairly understandable, and she always compensates me well. My heart sank when I saw the expression on her face. "I need a favor," she said briskly. She lowered her voice. "This is a big one."